Shit. I can't remember what episode we're on.
Just don't say it then. Start again.
Okay. Hello and Hello, welcome to another episode of the Harmony and Hustle podcast. I am your host, Sean, and we've got Daniel back after his long hiatus, moving house. As
Hello,
you can see, we are in a new
space.
A new ghetto space. And this week I've got my very good friend and special guest, Mr. Jordan Drew. How's it going, Jordan?
It's going very well.
Sick, mate. It was good to see you. It's been
too long.
It has been too long. When did we last see each other? It's probably at Dan's old place for
a couple of months ago. We've all been so busy. Like, you've been at uni, I've been doing music, and Dan's moved into his new house. So we've all been very, very busy.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. About uni, doing this podcast stuff, work. But we're here today to talk about music and not bitch about how stressful our lives and how tired we are. We got some new camera setup, so we're moving up in the world. Now you can see how knackered we are in full HD.
God.
So
shocking.
So I guess to start, I always like to ask, like, has anyone been listening to any new music this week? Any
Bring Me The Horizon brought out a new album. I've listened to that.
Really?
Only once so far.
But
apparently, it is good from what I've heard so far. Not all of the tracks are new though. A lot of them are like singles that have already been out, but so far so good on it.
Yeah, but that's just every album though, isn't it? They've had a lot of delays with that album. Like, I think they were supposed to release it over a year ago and just kept getting pushed back. And if you're an artist, you want to put out all of your singles and that you want to make sure they're the best songs because they're the ones that get the attention really. So, but no, it's quite a long album anyway. It's like 55 minutes.
They've been doing that for their last couple actually. Like they're like 16 tracks.
Yeah,
which is quite good.
So
is it still super heavy? Like, what's the style with this one? Because they change up a bit, don't they? They went a bit dancey for a bit.
Yeah, like the last couple of albums, they've had like one or two that are still like super heavy, which I think is really cool.
Yeah,
and then the whole album is quite varied, which is nice.
I think they found a really great balance between their old stuff and their new stuff.
We only listened to the one album really, and that's I think Shadow Moses is that album. Sempiternal.
That's a really good one.
It's sick. That's what got me into them. All the albums before that were way too heavy for me. Like, sure. I think the vocals were super heavy.
Sure.
But you've been doing Bring Me the Horizon. Both of you have.
Yeah, that album's been like sort of my go-to listen last week. Other than that, Noctilus, they released an album last week, which is...
I've heard of them.
Oh,
they're heavy.
They're heavy, mate.
Yeah,
I've seen them live. They're really
heavy. It pops up on my Spotify, like recommended.
Yeah, it's like an assault on the eardrums.
Is it?
That album, yeah. You feel like it's only about 30 minutes. It's quite a short album, about 30 minutes. But after you listen to it, you feel like you've been beaten up. It's
Who doesn't want that?
Who
doesn't want that when listening to heavy metal music? I've been going a bit backwards actually in my music taste. I've not really listened to heavy stuff at the moment. I found this band called the Winery Dogs.
Okay.
Anyone ever heard of them?
I've not, no.
Kind of like a rock band. They got like that kind of like an 80s style.
That's cool. It's a really cool
voice. Name. The Winery Dogs, yeah. They had a really, really cool song on there called Stars. I recommend it. You should check it out.
How did you come across those? Sorry.
Just randomly on. It wasn't Spotify Music actually. It was the other one. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Something bad will happen.
Platform.
It was on another streaming platform. Yeah, it might have been Amazon. It might have not been. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, there's like a shuffle thing on there too, and it just came on, and I was at work, and I didn't see the name, and I was like, just found myself bopping to it. Mm-hmm. And I've been listening to Mammoth, and I really hope that you guys have heard this. Mammoth.
Mammoth is the band.
Yeah,
I've not heard.
Wolfgang Van Halen.
Oh, really?
Eddie Van Halen's son.
Okay.
He's got a band. And he's got 2 albums, and they're absolutely sick. They're so good. You should check them out, man.
With his drummer actually.
Yes, we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, because he has some, like, he writes the drum parts, but he has another drummer that plays them live. So that must be so weird.
Yeah. It's the same drummer from Tremonti. Well, it was on Mark Tremonti's first couple of albums. But yeah, man, Eddie Van Halen's son's got a band. They're absolutely sick. It's very rock. There's a lot of, it's really sweet actually listening to this because you can hear a lot of influences in this playing. From his dad, he does like a lot of guitar tapping and stuff, but
He's the guitarist in this band.
Yeah, he does. I think when he tracked the first album in the studio, he did everything. So drums, bass, guitar, vocals. He's done everything. So yeah, it's been a good week of listening to music and discovering new bands and stuff. So yeah. Well, anyway, Jordan, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into music, and how did your musical journey begin?
It began when I was about 14 years old.
Really? So quite late then?
Yeah, I was quite
similar
late to music, actually. A lot later than sort of my friends at the time. I never really... Yeah, music just wasn't really my thing until I started watching Dragon Ball Z videos on YouTube. And there's like Linkin Park, like...
Oh, I've seen that.
Linkin Park songs playing over random clips from Dragon Ball Z scenes. And I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm going to listen to this band. And I got into Linkin Park, and that's where it started. I got a bass for, I think it was my 14th birthday. And self-taught. Don't know about you guys. Are you guys self-taught?
Yeah. I mean, well, for a bit of context, we know each other from the Music Academy. Yeah. So far, every guest I've had on pretty much been from there, but minus Martin. But yeah, we had guitar lessons then, like you had bass lessons, but
yeah,
before then, yeah, self-taught.
Yeah.
Why the bass though?
So, wow, it's funny actually, because my brother was a big influence on me growing up. He played guitar. He's a few years older than me, so obviously he's going to have some sort of...
Oh, I've met him, actually. He come to yours once. He's playing one of my guitars. I was like half asleep, like...
Yes. No, so he was playing guitar. I always kind of thought that was cool, but I didn't want to...
Oh, that's sick.
I didn't want to just copy him, you know. I didn't want to... just copying him because he plays guitar. I was thinking about being a drummer.
Really?
And
I wish I was a drummer.
Because I thought drums were just really cool. And I was like, there's no chance in hell my parents will ever let me get a drum kit.
Yeah.
So what should I do? So I find the middle ground between guitar and rhythm.
The second loudest thing is the bass.
So yeah, I got a bass guitar for a bass guitar, and then my dad got me a bass guitar.
No way. That's sick. What kind of music did you listen to growing up? Like, do you have any... like influences that like influenced your playing style? And
well, like I said, I'm self-taught, so a lot of my playing comes from just watching people on YouTube. There was a YouTube channel he's basically just taught you how to play bass.
Okay,
and it's
cool.
Quite early YouTube. This is about 2009. 2009. So he'd just show you how to play these songs, like play that funky music and stuff like that. So I just play along to those. A lot of funk stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm quite attracted to funk stuff on the bass, actually, more so than most other genres. Like,
yeah.
So I started playing loads of funk songs, just learning, teaching myself how to play. Picked up some habits, but if you're self-taught, you're going to pick up some habits which aren't necessarily helping your playing. But I found that they helped me develop my own sort of spin.
Yeah.
I started listening to Iron Maiden. They were big. Like Steve Harris. I don't know if you know, Steve Harris actually writes a lot of the Iron Maiden songs.
I didn't know that,
he's the bass player.
So
the whole galloping, dun da dun da dun.
Yeah.
That's his influence
on Run to the Hills.
That comes from his playing. So when I was listening to Iron Maiden growing up, I was hearing the galloping, and I was thinking, wow, surely he plays it with three fingers. So I just started learning the songs with three fingers, just thinking nothing of it. And then later on I found out, no, he plays it with two fingers. So I kind of developed my own technique where I play with three fingers rather than two, thinking that this is how you play it. When that's completely not how it's done.
Do you still play like that now?
So when I'm doing gallops, it's a mixture of two and three.
Yeah, man, because I started playing the bass when I was at yours, because you let me use your bass, and I could not for the life of me do it with my fingers. I had to just use a pick.
I was the complete opposite. So I learnt with fingers, and then I was hopeless at playing with a pick.
Really?
And it's only until the last few years when I started using a pick, because I started getting to more aggressive styles of music.
Yeah, that's why I use a pick. It's good for like metal stuff that I'm doing. And
if you're playing with a pick, it just helps you cut through better. So if you're playing in those lower sort of tunings, you're going to hear the notes more defined. So playing with a pick is kind of essential, really, unless you're really slapping the bass.
No, I really want to learn how to do slap bass, but I just don't have time. I need to focus on guitar. How is this is a question I want to ask you. I've had like trying to think how to word it. So if I'm like writing guitar parts at home, right, and I'm like I don't always know what to do on the bass, so I just copy the guitar parts. No, don't do that.
That's what I've always done. To be fair, I had like 1 or 2 notes differently, but other than that, it's
like I try and like try and find my way out of like through the scales, whatever, to make it fix. Yeah, but it's really hard. So I just find myself doing exactly what the guitar's doing, basically.
It does depend on the genre of music, obviously.
For metal
and
rock,
you can follow the guitar part for metal.
Okay.
There's no reason why you can't. You may just have to use slightly different sort of positions in the neck.
Yeah.
You want to keep it on the low end of the neck to keep those low frequencies. You can't be riffing high up on the neck.
This is the problem. I'm not copying like the exact octaves. Like, I try and stay down, but there's some, because I do like some quite techie stuff. So I find myself like noodling like across the fretboard, and I end up going from like low to like a really high string. And I'm like, that sounds shit. I can't figure out my way up and down the neck on the lower strings. Like
at the end of the day, the role of the bass is to keep down those low frequencies and keep it grounded. Okay. But there's no rules.
Well, I know
music,
that, but yeah,
there's no rules. Like you can do what you want. If it sounds good, then you're onto a winner. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. You do you.
I like that.
That's good to know. It's kind of reassuring.
But yeah, genuinely, if you're playing bass, hold that root note. Just keep that root note pumping.
Just pedal tone.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just lazy.
Can you remember? I ask this to every guest. I always find it's interesting. But can you remember the first CD that you ever owned?
Yeah, it was like one of those "Now That's What I Call Music" CDs. I think it was the one with "What's That Coming Over the Hill? Is It a Monster?"
Oh God, I like that song.
That song.
Yeah, who's that by?
I have no idea.
Oh God,
that's a catchy song.
Yeah.
What
are they called?
I have no idea.
Begin with M. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it had that on it, and it had like "Girls Aloud" and things like that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Who let the dogs out? And
that was the first album I had in my possession, but the first album I went out and bought with
that was going to be my next question.
My pocket money was Linkin Park's Minutes to Midnight, their third album.
Oh, okay.
When they started getting more rocky, so like the Transformers movie.
Oh yeah,
what I've done, yeah. That album, yeah, that was the first.
Sick. Yeah, man, I really like Linkin Park. I mentioned this on a previous episode. I heard a rumor that they're getting a new vocalist, and it's a female vocalist. Do you know anything about this?
I wouldn't.
Is this
true? I
true?
wouldn't believe any of that.
No, I know. It was just one of those things on Facebook, and I kind of
did
a double take.
Sounds like clickbait, that one.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, well, I've heard other stuff as well. Like there's like a bunch of cover bands who have been doing like new videos, and they've made a point of being like, oh, if Linkin Park had a female vocalist. So I'm just wondering, not that I have anything against it, I just think it's really interesting.
I think I'd prefer them if they had a female vocalist, because any male vocalist
it's just going to, this is what I was going to say. Yeah, it's going to be in Chester Shadow.
They need to find a vocalist who can put their own spin on the band, I think.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Damn. So yeah, any other influences, like band-wise, like any other forms of media and stuff like that, like that have maybe influenced your music taste?
Yeah. So it wasn't just bands that influenced my music taste, but growing up, movies and video games played a huge influence on music, just music in general. Like how much music can enhance a piece of media. You don't even realize it at the time, but looking back, you hear, for example, like a theme song from a movie, and it brings it all back, like your childhood. It's very nostalgic.
Yeah, man.
Movie soundtracks, and they're very nostalgic.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So one of my first ever memories really is playing with toy dinosaurs.
So you say Jurassic Park.
Here he goes. Yeah, Jurassic Park is one of my favourite movies ever.
Yeah, that always surprised me about you. I was like, really? I was like, it's good.
It's just nostalgia. That's all it is. It's an amazing movie too. But when that score from John Williams comes in, it's just magic.
Yeah, it's pretty memorable. That's probably like the most. You mentioned Jurassic Park. The first thing you think is dinosaurs, and then you think
you were humming it earlier.
I
don't know if you know.
I was. I remember over there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know why that was? It's because there's a comedian. I can't remember his name. You might have seen this clip. But he does like a literal version of like Jurassic Park. He puts like lyrics to the tune. It's like, it's Jurassic Park. It's a massive park. What could possibly go wrong? Like, you have to find. I'll have to send you the video after. But it's really funny. Yeah, it's been stuck in my head all day.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's catchy, right? It's,
Yeah,
it's almost
it is.
like it is a
It's
pop
annoying.
Song.
That and
but
Machine Gun
it's-
Kelly's My Bloody Valentine has been stuck in my head all day.
It's a tune as well, to be honest. But
I
no,
like that tune,
The way I think growing up, the way movie soundtracks, influenced me. Do you want me to carry on?
Yeah. Carry on, that's fine.
Yeah. So growing up, the way the way movie soundtracks influenced me was quite important in sort of developing the emotional aspect of music.
Yes.
You know? 'Cause
Yeah.
music these days, it's fast food. It's straight to the chorus. Hook, done. 3 minutes, in and out, done. But soundtracks and classical music, progressive music, is so much more than that. It takes you on a journey, and that's I think that's really important to me. Music having more of an emotional impact than just being background noise.
Oh, well, we've not got that camera anymore.
All good, all good. We still got two cameras, so we're rolling.
That did not last long at all. Okay, we'll live with that.
So carrying on like along the frame of mind around like soundtracks influencing media and enhancing an experience. You usually find like a lot of movie directors tend to work with the same composers.
Yeah.
Spielberg and Williams, Hans Zimmer and Nolan,
Yeah.
Tim Burton and Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Like they tend to work together because they know that music plays such an important role in turning the visuals into something more than just visuals. They bring it to life.
Yeah, so with Tim Burton, for example, obviously his films are like quite weird and
Gothic
and out there. And Danny Elfman's music, like his compositions, are like really zany and weird. So
It's the same kind of style, even though it's a different
yeah.
medium. Like it's the same artistic like vision is coming together between like both. It's interesting. I've never really thought of it like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, like how much music can affect a scene in a movie, or like lack of music. There's was it Dark Knight? That's the one with Heath Ledger in it, isn't it? The second one, The Dark Knight. There's like a whole chase scene in that, and there's no music in it whatsoever, and it's like a really tense scene. You don't realise that there's no music because you're so engrossed. And then you've got like the new Pattinson Batman one, which also has like a really cool chase scene, but that's got like music over it, and it's like
Silence within music is underrated.
Yeah.
Not playing is just as important as playing.
That's something
Yeah.
in all of my music projects I hammer home, like how like just having a pause for a couple of seconds, the impact that it has
100%.
makes so much difference. Like that is what creates a lot of the emotion I feel like in music as well, like having those pauses. Because it gives you like space to like reflect and like think and for your mind to process things while you're listening to the music. Whereas if it's like busy the whole way through, you don't have the space to really kind of develop your own like attachment to the music almost.
Definitely.
Well, it builds tension, doesn't it? Like builds tension and releases it without playing anything. It's really interesting. It does the same with like video games too. Like you play Elden Ring and Dark Souls and stuff like that. A lot of the time, not so much in Elden Ring, but in like Dark Souls, you'll be running around before you get to boss, and there's no music, like not really. And then you get to the boss, and then that's when the music comes in. It's like it's in your face, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Like this going down. Like it makes it epic and brings that scale up. Like
Well, that's the thing. When music's there, a lot of the time you forget it's even there. It's background noise, like I was talking about, like pop music. Like if you're in a shop, the music's playing. It's still there. You just don't notice it.
No.
But if a music can enhance an experience, like a video game, where when it gets to a climactic event, such as a boss battle, it can kick in and it feels epic. It's like, oh God, here we go. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's taking you on a journey. And I think with video game soundtracks, it's all about that. It's enhancing your emotions, taking you on a journey. And with the conventional sort of pop song, they don't genuinely do that. It's just chorus, verse, chorus, with some exceptions. The main topic of conversation today is concept albums. So we're going to be discussing how music can be used as, a form of taking you on a journey. Not just within, to accompany a film, but as its own piece of art.
So how would you define a concept album? What's the difference? For those out there who don't know, what's the difference between just a normal album and a concept album? Because I think there's a few different types.
This is what I've done. So I did a little bit of research.
Good. Me too. I didn't do as much as I should have, but...
Yeah, I went to the website, which everyone, is very credible. Everyone knows is very credible. Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Did you follow the sources though?
Absolutely not. It could be absolute waffle, but it made sense to me. So this is what Wikipedia sort of brings up. It says a concept album is an album whose tracks hold a larger purpose or meaning collectively than they do individually. This is typically achieved through a single central narrative or theme. So it's an album where all of the tracks kind of feel like they belong together.
It's like one track almost.
Yeah.
Like it's one piece of music.
Yeah.
Rather than being like you say in pop songs, like loads of just short tracks which are just hooks. It's not like that at all. That makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah. But, the article, a couple of paragraphs later, then it goes on to say, there is no consensus among music critics as to the specific criteria for what a concept album is. So it's up to you.
It's an opinion.
I would disagree with that last bit. I mean, a concept album differs from a normal album in the sense that for a concept album, it's usually like you said, you've got like a central theme. Each song tells like a story across the whole album, whereas like a normal album, each song's a completely separate story. It can be about anything. There's a few different types of concept albums. You've got like the ones where the albums have like a central theme, and that like follows throughout. So American Idiot's like a good example.
I was thinking American Idiot.
I've been listening to that so much recently. That's like all about like the disillusionment in America and what's the word? Anti-establishment kind of thing, like political.
Is that not just all pop punk music?
I mean, yeah, but it's like the whole album. It's like a post 9/11 kind of.
Right.
Look at the world.
Yeah, I mean, even the
like the whole central characters
like go into it as well.
Jesus of Suburbia.
Yeah,
and that's like a reoccurring thing throughout all of their songs. And then you've got trying to think how to word it. Like Pink Floyd's The Wall as well. That's I lost.
It's a story.
Like I'm trying to think. I did do my research. I've forgotten. I should.
It's a narrative.
Notes.
Yeah. But a concept album, it's not just necessarily a narrative, but also it is a concept. So, for example, you can use anything as a point to draw your inspiration from when you're writing a concept album. So, if you look at a bowl of fruit, you could
write a concept album.
You could write a concept album about a bowl of fruit.
That'd
where each song represents a different
fruit. Piece of fruit. Yeah,
I'm thinking of a cool one, but there's a Mars Volta album. The whole album is written.
Oh, you showed me this band.
Yeah, but the whole album is written about their experience with the Ouija board, and they talk about all the different days that they spent with this Ouija board and all the different weird things that happened.
That's nuts.
It was really nuts. Literally, they were saying that like even like the making of the album was linked to like the experiences, like. So like they kept having like demo tapes disappear and like random things going on with the record and stuff like this. It got like proper deep and spooky, yeah.
That's spooky.
But they had people quit the band during it as well. Like,
really?
Yeah, it was a whole like thing. So yeah,
that's a movie waiting to be made.
Absolutely. But,
Oh
but
my
they
God.
do stuff like that. There's very like deep sort of like depth to it. Like, yeah, like just really explorative, creative, and different.
Yeah, it's just so. A lot of it stems from sort of progressive rock, really. It became popularized in sort of the 70s.
Yeah.
Where prog bands were doing these like grand rock opera type
operas,
things.
Yeah.
But I've got a list of sort of popular concept albums, so I was quite surprised that there's still like pop artists are doing them. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
never
was
really-
going to ask that earlier, but I
Yeah.
forgot if any pop artists
Yeah,
are doing
so-
like any mainstreamers.
That's the thing. So we've got Tommy by The Who, which is a classic.
Yeah.
Sgt. Pepper by
Yeah.
the Beatles. Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah.
This old character.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon, of course.
Yeah.
But Frank Sinatra was a very, very early
What? I
artist
didn't
who
know
actually
this.
made concept albums. Did you know that?
I really like
I
Frank
didn't know that.
Sinatra.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Apparently his albums are concept albums, which surprised me. But
Which album was it? Sorry,
in the wee small hours.
in the wee
Like
small
Frank
hours.
Sinatra.
Right, I'm gonna have to go and listen
Yeah, I
to
have to
that.
check that one.
But also, modern artists, Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce released concept albums.
Really, Beyonce?
Yeah, Lemonade was a concept album apparently.
When did that come out?
About Lemonade or?
About
Yeah, what-
5 or so years ago.
What's that about? Do you know?
Well,
Oh,
maybe it's about different
I've got the
pop-
phones. I want to know what.
fizzy drinks.
Yeah, And it's about making lemonade.
Yeah.
12 songs about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Any more?
I mean, that's some of the ones I noted. 2112 by Rush is
Yeah,
classic
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Some of the ones maybe we can go into more detail about is like you mentioned, The Wall.
Yeah,
by
man.
Pink Floyd. I'd
Yeah,
like to go
it's like the whole
deeper
character
into
of
that.
Pink, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's a classic, but it's also more. It's more than an album because they made a movie. They made a movie which played over the album. I don't know if you knew this, but
no.
That is really cool.
For some reason, I started thinking about my mind kind of drifted off to Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz. Did you hear about this thing?
It's rubbish. It's rubbish. You play any type of music along with any sort
It's
of.
gonna sync
visual,
up at
it
some point.
There'll be
Yeah,
sync
yeah.
points. That's just how it works, isn't it?
Maybe that's a whole episode at some point. But yeah, sorry,
the
Jordan.
myths of
Yeah,
the music
Yeah,
industry.
yeah. Oh, that'd be a really good one, actually.
That'd be quite cool.
Music myths, like the 27 Club. Anyway, sorry, we digress. I digress. Carry on.
So yeah, should we maybe discuss The Wall? Have you guys both heard The Wall?
Yep.
Yeah, in full.
Not in depth. I've heard it, but
What? I haven't dissected it. I
haven't, like, listened to it loads and loads of
I
times.
really struggle to pay attention to the lyrical content of stuff. It's all, to me, it's all about like the guitar parts and the melody and the vocals and stuff. So yeah, lyrically, I'm not massively familiar with it.
So like lyrically, it kind of tells the story of a character called Pink.
Yeah.
I think he's based. The band were going for a really sort of dark period at the time. It kind of mirrors what the Beatles were going through with Sgt. Pepper at the time. They're just going through a really weird period where they're kind of past like the whole fame period. They're like, what do we do? Let's just try something. Let's just be creative. Let's throw everything at the wall. Pink Floyd, they were going through a rough time, the passing of certain members and things like that. I think this was a story they wanted to tell about almost their own experience. The album covers a lot of sort of dark periods in their lives, from drugs, abuse from teachers, parents.
Yeah, isn't there a lot of it's to do with, is it Roger Waters' father who died in World War II?
Yeah,
Is that correct? It's all about abandonment and being stuck and...
Yeah, like I don't know how much of it is like accurate to their own childhood. I imagine most of it, but I think the main character Pink was based on a previous member, because the character actually it follows him from birth. So the first song, for example, you can hear like a beating drum, which is supposed to replicate the heartbeat of a child, and you hear sort of the baby crying as it's being born. So certain sound effects they utilize within their music to bring to life their vision.
Like a story, like a sound effects
Exactly.
to a story.
It's a whole journey.
Yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. I didn't know that.
And like the whole concept of the wall, like what is the wall? It's supposed, each brick is supposed to represent a sort of traumatic event in his life that over the course of the album he sort of builds up this wall around himself and ends up isolating himself from everybody. And the final brick in the wall ends up being his own isolation, which ends up in on him being very lonely, which is something I think everyone can sort of relate to in some way or another. You've got to break down that wall if you want to sort of get anywhere. You can't put borders up. You need to be open, be honest about your traumatic events and emotions.
Yeah, I'm guessing like the lyrics aren't like pinpoint enough that people can't draw from their like, how do I word this?
Draw their own meaning. So
yeah,
they're not
like interpretation. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's like really open for people to like relate to it in their own way.
Yeah, each song it has its own sort of meaning, but over the course of the album, there's instrumental songs that tie it all together. It's a continuous piece of work.
Yeah, there's like tracks that are like 30 seconds long.
Exactly. And it has kind of 4 acts. Like obviously during that period in time, it's quite about an hour and a half long. And during
that's a long album.
During the time it came out, you could only fit 20 minutes on each side of a record. So they broke it down into 4 sides, each about 20 minutes long. So it's got kind of 4 acts. And each one you can listen to, each side you can listen to, and it feels like its own little mini story. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that's one of those ones that, like you can listen to the songs individually, but I guess Comfortably Numb would be probably a good example. That if you just listen to that, it's like really out of context if you like take into account like the lyrical content. But if you listen to it in context of the album, it like makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, I recommend everybody just listen to this album, put some headphones on, just close your eyes and listen to it in full, and just go on that journey.
Yeah, man. And even if you've never gone out of your way to listen to it, chances are you've heard a couple of these tracks 100%. Somewhere.
Another Brick in the Wall.
Another Brick in the Wall. Yeah, probably Comfortably Numb. Like. They're like the 2 most famous ones on the album.
Yeah, but the way it's not just within the lyrical content that they tell the story, it's also within the music. Like I said about the drum imitating a heartbeat, it reinforces the story that's being told. You've got like there's a sort of a sexy song, and it becomes sort of like funky, sort of disco-y, like. It's just a sexy song. It's like it reinforces the story that's happening at the time, where the characters met somebody. He's doing a lot of drugs, a lot of rock and roll, a lot of sex.
Nice.
But yeah, it's very cool.
Fair enough. Any thoughts on concept albums, Dan? You got any that you know off the top of your head that you really like?
I raised a couple already. I'm just thinking about it as an idea, like how. Is it something that is just in the past? Like, are people going to continue to make concept albums? Because it is an art form in itself.
Yeah, I reckon so. Almost. It's a completely different way of writing, isn't it? It enables you to tell like a complete whole story across, 45, 50 minutes.
I guess the worry is like there's so much focus on singles now. Like, is that kind of idea a bit lost in like our modern world? That's something I'm kind of like, be concerned about because it should still be a thing. But like,
apparently
bands make albums
because Beyonce's got a concept album called Lemonade.
So that disproves the point.
I would like to know what this is about.
When you reach a certain position of fame, people will listen to your music no matter what.
That's what I was
going to say with
Beyonce.
Make what's the word? You can take risks and make better creative decisions. Exactly.
Yeah. But even if you think of like Arctic Monkeys, right? Like artists do that. They get to that certain level and then they're like, right, I've got a huge fan base. Everyone listens to whatever I put out. Let's just do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah. You can start making the music more true to yourself and to your vision. Dream.
And then like something we've spoken about before is like bands where they make every album like different styles, like themes. So it gives you more freedom to be able to do that when you get to that level of fame, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not really concept album related, but just an example is like, gives like they get to a certain level of fame, they can do what they want. Didn't they do a live show, like a festival, played like a bunch, I think maybe it was like a whole album or something, but they changed the style of them. They did like really slow versions of all these songs. Do you know anything about this?
I think I've seen that on YouTube. They've done that because obviously their most recent album
and everyone
was
like really pissed about it.
Yeah. So they're probably doing it to like fit the vibe of that newer album, I reckon, to make it like a sort of like lounge sort of vibe. I don't know.
I think something, this is almost like a conflict within music these days. It's being an artist and making art versus being an artist and trying to get popular. You have to sacrifice artistic integrity if you want to reach a certain audience. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
I talk about this all the time. I think there's a balance. I think there's a balance between the two, right? Like you've got to still write hooks, but you also can add your like personality and the music you want to make into it. It's just, to be honest, getting the balance right. Some bands get it wrong. Some bands do a really good job of it, but you do have to do something to reach new people that haven't listened to you before.
You've got to play the game if you want to be, quote unquote, famous. Unfortunately, which it conflicts with the whole idea of being an artist, in my opinion. You want to make art based on what you're feeling at that point in time. You don't want to be thinking, oh, but what if this doesn't get played on the radio because it doesn't fit in with, the type of stuff you do listen to on the radio. It conflicts.
I think it depends on why you make music in the first place, though, right? Yeah. Like, if you're making music purely to be an artist and put stuff out there, you shouldn't care about if it gets famous or how many views it gets or like how many people listen to it. Okay. Whereas if you are trying to make it as a career, it's a different game. You're trying to get the views, you're trying to get notice, you're trying to get a record deal, whatever. Yeah. So then you have to kind of play by that rule book if that's your goal. If your goal is just to make artistic music, then you could put out a concept album every year and it doesn't matter if 5 people listen to it.
in the modern world, that's very difficult because everything is online and everyone wants attention. If you make something you're really proud of and it's a 9-minute long, amazing masterpiece, the chances are if you don't market it, it's going to be seen by nobody, and that's really going to damage. That's really going to sort of hurt. It's going to sort of, you take it personally. You've put so much work into this piece of art and then it's like doesn't go anywhere. You need to think about your art from a business perspective. You wouldn't 30 years ago, you wouldn't be like, or even longer, like imagine fucking Da Vinci. Imagine just sitting down with Da Vinci. He's like painted this amazing, he's done this amazing piece of art.
Yeah,
like,
you just showed it to a mate. I was like,
yeah, it's all right.
Really good.
No, it's really good, but can't sell it. Sorry. Yeah. Like art is just so different these days. It's all about selling.
Yeah, I think we're like kind of in one of the most expressive times though, because maybe it's always been like that, but because like you said, it's so achievable to just get your music out there, as hard as it is to market it and get it to reach loads of people. Anyone who's a musician can now go and be a musician, like, and release music and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wondered if, just going, like, taking a couple of steps back, I wondered if this whole sacrificing creativity and stuff in favour of record labels, directing you, like how your songs should sound and stuff. I wonder is this why you get like a new artist and their first album's like amazing and it blows your mind, and then the next album doesn't do quite as well, and
I don't think
next
so.
one after that.
I think it's
and then
different.
eventually it gets to a point where the music's great again. Like
I think it's as artists get bigger, they play bigger stadiums and they want to write bigger anthems.
Okay,
they change their sound. For sure.
They make more sing-along songs rather than sort of riffs or whatever.
Like Royal Blood's a good example of this. Their first album's amazing. Like it was such a unique like album at the time, and then the second one came out, and you're like, it's just more. It's more the same
sing-along. That's what it is.
It's just more.
It's because they're playing bigger venues. They want bigger crowds to sing along, and it needs to sound big.
Yeah, they sound fat, that band, I won't lie.
Yeah,
like,
the sound has got to fill the space they're playing in. Yeah. On first albums, though, to be fair, I think it's also about the fact that the band have been making music for a certain amount of time. By the time they get to the point of putting out a first album, it's kind of like the best of the music they've done up until that point.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
So it's almost like they've picked the best of what they've done like up until then, and it might even be a 5-year window. And then they go on tour and they tour that music, and then it's like, I've got to write a new album now. And it's not, they're kind of forcing it a bit more, rather than like at the start, it was more the best stuff they've written over that period of time, and they can be more creative. And then like suddenly they're signed and it's like, you've got to make another album. Yeah. And it's not as natural and creative.
Well, yeah, that's like Metallica, for example, with Saint Anger. That was just them getting into a studio, smashing stuff out
with that snare sound.
All in one. The legendary snare sound. You can listen to that whole album with the snare replaced. It's so much better.
So I'm the biggest Metallica defender, I think. Like
I like Metallica. I hate Saint Anger.
Okay, I love Saint Anger.
I don't like it. There's a couple of songs on there that I'm like, okay, I can get behind this, but yeah, the production on it is terrible. I really think it sucks. Like the snare sucks, the bass sucks.
There's a YouTube channel who's like basically remastered the whole album.
Yeah, I think I might have seen that. Yeah,
sounds amazing.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'll have to find that.
And I think the documentary as well. Like I don't know. It shows
it's a very rough. Like speaking about the
like
wall,
they're all in
it
like
was a
therapy.
very rough, yeah, it was a rough patch, man. They were going through a rough time. And it definitely affected their music.
Defend Saint Anger.
Defend Saint Anger.
Yeah, go.
They're in their lowest tuning they've ever been in.
Really?
So,
what is?
C sharp.
Really?
Yeah, they go down to C sharp. I
didn't know that.
Maybe even C. Love or hate
and yet
the snare.
that snare is so ringy and high.
If that
love or hate the snare, no one likes the snare.
That snare sounds like Slipknot when they're banging on those big bloody.
I remember as well because obviously as a drummer I used to see like the magazines.
I agree with you there, but I think it works in Slipknot because of the way the drums are like are being
it's different
played.
In Slipknot,
Yes, yeah. When it's just like boom ga boom ga boom ga in like Metallica, it gets on your tits like. Okay. It's annoying. That's my opinion. That's just me. Like,
I'm very like Metallica's like a child to me, like my own child. Like
really,
I'm never gonna say it's bad. Like it bites another child, I'm gonna be like, wow, it probably deserved it. You know, like I'm gonna defend it no matter what. So
it's like Slipknot.
I'm very biased.
Metallica, Nickelback. Nickelback. That's like me with Nickelback. I really like Nickelback. I don't. Their first two albums really suck. Don't like them at all, but the later albums are great, and I'll defend Nickelback.
Is there any
and take the piss out of them?
Is there any bands that you're sort of like you
guilty pleasure?
Yeah, guilty pleasure, Dan.
Oh, what?
You know, it's
one jumped straight to my mind. I know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, go for it.
Machine Gun Kelly.
I wouldn't say that's a guilty pleasure. I'm happy
Machine Gun
like.
Kelly's last two albums I really like.
Yeah,
the one with My Bloody Valentine on it. It's so catchy. It's so unbelievably catchy, and it gets stuck in my head. It's just oh god, I love it. I hate it, and I can't tell if it's good or not.
You love it.
The songwriting is good, to be honest.
I suppose it doesn't matter if it's good or not. Like it's all subjective. But I love it.
He got so much hate as well, like from going from rapping to like playing guitar.
Because he got bullied out of rap by Eminem.
But I think he just did that publicity. He's a good marketer. If we're talking about marketing, he's really good at that. Like he pushes that like how.
Yeah.
He just does all these crazy things all the time to get attention, and it works.
It's one of those things where any publicity is good publicity for him.
Yeah, 100%. And he doesn't care. You can tell.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like an asshole or anything. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
I mean, he's going out with Megan Fox. I mean, you know what I mean? He's winning. He's winning at life.
I've never understood the fuss about Megan Fox. I really don't.
God. Where's your clip for that?
That's all right. Keep it rolling.
Yeah. That was perfect. And then we'll clip it and like use it as a clip.
Put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Sean doesn't think Megan Fox is.
Oh no, I'm just like whatever.
Okay, well you're lost.
What? So Machine Gun Kelly's done another album after that one with My Bloody Valentine.
I think so.
I'll have to check that out. I don't think
he
I've
did
heard
one
that
with
Travis Barker.
No, he did two. He's done two with Travis.
Oh, okay.
Barker,
yeah, Travis Barker just plays in like any good like pop punk song, pretty much. To be honest,
I think he's basically a producer now.
Yeah, he is. He's got his own record label and everything. Like I was looking actually the other day, speaking of new music on Spotify, at like all the collaborations he's done, and listening to them, and they're all really good. Everything he's involved with, but they all have his like classic drumming style. He plays like the same like fills and beats on them.
Yeah,
but it is really good.
Guilty pleasure, Dan?
I don't know. 90s pop music, actually.
90s.
I would say.
Or like Aqua.
I wouldn't go
Barbie Girl.
like Aqua. Like
Dr.
maybe
Jones.
not. Like maybe like late 90s, early 2000s.
What about like boy bands?
Some of them. The other day I was singing along to Blue And I was like, oh, mate.
Oh, Blue is sick, mate.
There's some
What do you mean?
sick melodies in this.
Oh, God,
yeah.
you just triggered a memory. I love Blue. 1 for the money and a free ride, 2 for the life.
But I think the melodies of the pop music around that time were just a lot better than what we have now. Like, they're just better melodies and better songs, I think.
Blue, Hearsay, Atomic Kitten.
It's like the opposite of what's going on now in pop. It's like simplicity and
Yeah.
emptiness in music these days, like pop music, isn't it? Everything's very empty and space.
It's just soulless, isn't it? It's just
open.
soulless crap,
like
to put it bluntly.
It's like Billie Eilish and stuff like that. It's vocals in like italics.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw an article the other day. It was getting so much hate. She put something out like, I don't see why any artist should pay like more than like an hour and a half set or something. And it got so much hate because everyone was just like, wow, this is a list of all the bands that play a set that's longer than 2 hours. Are you saying they all suck?
Does her entire catalogue of music reach an hour and a half?
This is what everyone was saying. It's
must
because she don't have enough songs and she's too new to the industry. So
I mean,
that's why.
I think the production on her stuff's like really good, but Phineas is amazing.
That's all it is, though. It's just production.
Yeah, it's like he goes really crazy with it, but I just don't do it like. What's that really annoying song? It's like ooh, 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 ooh,
Oh yeah.
That song really annoys me, but it's catchy.
That's exactly what it needs to be, isn't it?
Yeah,
Gets
for
in the
mainstream stuff, like all songs are supposed to be catchy, I suppose, which is why you should listen to Mammoth, Wolfgang Van Halen. But
I think you should listen to a band from Oxford called Mondegreen. Their bassist is really cool.
Speaking of that, actually,
I forgot to ask you about that earlier.
Yeah. Speaking of that, it'd be good actually, Jordan. Maybe like talk about the different music projects you're in at the moment,
Yeah.
like different bands, like what you've got going on.
So at the moment, like it's been a bit of a hectic year for me, really. I've joined 2 bands. I joined this is sort of like a new metal band based in Oxford called Mondegreen. We've got a second single which is out tomorrow.
Is
Oh,
it?
sweet.
But by the time this
It would have
podcast
already
comes
been
out,
out
it would
a
have already
week
been
or
out.
2, but
Yeah,
so
we can put it in the
we have
YouTube
put it in the link. Yeah,
and Spotify and all that. In the link.
Yeah, it'll be on all streaming platforms tomorrow.
sick.
Have you got a video?
We've got a lyric video, so we've not got a music video.
Oh, that's all right. Where did you record it?
We all recorded from home. So I
Really?
recorded
Nice.
my bass part in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And then we put all of our parts together, sent it off to a guy in Romania, I think, or
Really?
Ukraine. He mixed it. He mixed our first single.
Was that on Fiverr? You found him or something?
No, I don't know.
That's so random. How did that come about?
Well, the other 2 members in the band are from the Ukraine.
Right, so they have a
No,
friend
not
over there or
Ukraine.
something.
Hungary, sorry. They're from Hungary. Oh my God, I'm so sorry I said that. It's like misgendering someone, but
God.
misnationalizing someone. No, they're from Hungary. I don't know how they found him, but yeah, he just basically... We weren't happy with the way the song sounded. The mix, it just did not sound right. And we're like, we need to find someone else who outside of the band, because you end up going in circles as a musician, listening to the same song over and over again.
You can't tell.
And you're like, this is hopeless. Like, we need an outsider perspective. So we found him, and he just brought it to life, and it sounded amazing.
Really?
We're really happy. So he's done our second single, The Fires Are a Light. And we're really happy with the way it sounds.
Which you can hear below. What's like the writing process for you guys? Like you just sort of mentioned briefly then, like you all recorded from home. Is that like how you go about writing stuff? Did they have material before you joined, or?
Yeah, so I joined the end of last year. At that point, they had already had 5 or 6 songs already written.
Okay,
so
that's good.
It's just for me. It's just a case of learning the parts and recording them. So it's pretty straightforward for me. But I think for them, they're very influenced by new metal, like I say, like Deftones, Korn, but a lot of new metalcore bands like Spirit Box and things like that.
Spirit Box.
It's not too heavy.
Riffy kind of thing, then.
Yeah, I heard your first track you did. I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was like overly
it's not
ridiculous.
It's not. We
It sounded
want to
good.
find fine balance between being listenable, but also having some aggressive sections, like certain breakdowns and things. Like it's got riffs, but it's not too like repetitive, riffy breakdown, that kind of thing. But yeah, no. Other than that, I've got another band which I joined in January called Borrowed in Blue. They're from Swindon, and they're a covers band. So I've been gigging most weekends, really, sort of two or three weeks a month, gigging with them either in pubs or private events like weddings and birthday parties. We've got a wedding Saturday.
Nice. Earning that bread.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's good. It's really fun. They're all great guys. We did a new song last week. It was a Teddy Swims cover.
Never heard of them. No.
And it's up on our Facebook if you want to check out Borrowed in Blue. And Nathaniel, the vocalist, he just absolutely smashed it. And like, it sounds
I know him. I know him.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple of times. It's really good.
Yeah, they're just great guys, and it's always fun to play with them. So shout out to them. If you've got like a birthday or wedding coming up, then hire us, please.
Yeah, I'll put the deets on the appropriate places on the various platforms. Yeah. Anything else? Want to still go? Carry on?
No, that was it. Like, what are the plans for those projects?
Well, keep it. We've basically booked out the whole of the year for the cover stuff. So we're pretty fully booked. Maybe half of next year too. But no, just keep playing like every weekend, just having a good time. For the original project,
Yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, for the original project, I don't know really. Like, you've got to write music for yourself. If it goes anywhere, happy days. But I think we're doing it for ourselves. We're writing music we want to write, and that we really enjoy writing. It's as simple as that, really. We're actually looking for a drummer at the moment, a permanent drummer. So if you're based in...
Everyone's always looking for a damn drummer, man.
Well, we've had a couple of drummers, but they've just been sort of temporary.
Yeah.
I have the opposite problem. I have like a lot of people that want me as a drummer. Then I'm like, I don't want to join your band, to be honest.
Oh no.
Without being harsh about it. Hopefully they'll never listen to this.
I can't wait to get this whole uni stuff out of the way so I can get back to doing gigs and stuff and playing in bands.
One thing I want to like bring up is with this original project, none of us use amps whenever we play together. Or live. It's all to a click or to a backing track, and it's all digital amps, simulators.
What are you using? Well, like
So
plugins?
I'm using a Quad Cortex, so it simulates.
Oh yeah, I remember you showing me this thing.
A
Yeah.
whole pedal board and an amp
that thing's
and a
mad.
cab.
That is interesting.
And the guitarist is also using his own Quad Cortex, so it's all going through.
What about the drums? Is it
Drums are real, but the drummer's playing to a click, which
Yeah.
the click is MIDI, so it syncs up with the backing tracks we've got, so everything is in sync.
You could go electric kit.
You could do. You could. Yeah.
No, don't do that.
I mean, if everything else is going through sim, it's the same thing, to be honest. Like, samples, like...
Yeah.
Well, it is.
I don't know.
It doesn't look as cool though, does it?
No, it doesn't look as cool. I really don't. I think MIDI drums are good for like recording at home, and so I don't like the sound of MIDI.
I think it depends on what sound that you're going for.
It depends on the samples, though, to be fair. Like,
it does, and it depends what sound you're going for with it as well. Like, I mean, if you're playing music that's super dynamic, then you can only really play an acoustic kit. If it's not super dynamic, you don't really need to. Like, if you were playing, like we're talking about Travis Barker, like his style of music wouldn't matter at all. It would sound pretty much the same if you got the right samples.
I mean, imagine a lot of the stuff. I imagine a lot of stuff you hear on like Travis Barker's own music is very highly processed too.
Oh yeah.
So like,
100%.
it may as well be an electric kit. You know?
Yeah, it wouldn't make any difference. I know he's got the Roland kit that I've got in his home studio, so he could even be using that for loads of recordings. You wouldn't even know.
Do you remember when we were at college and we discovered Periphery? I can't remember who discovered Periphery. It was that first album.
Dwayne?
It might have been Dwayne or Calvin or someone. And there was like the whole debate of like, are these drums real or not on the first album or on Icarus Libs? Like, I think when it was the original demo, like, we'd all sit around and talk about like how sick the drums were. I don't know who it was, but someone was like, they're not even real. I was like, what? That blew my mind that point I realised I could program drums at home. Like,
I think you can tell if a human is playing it or not.
I agree
You
with
can't
that.
tell if the kit is acoustic or electric. It's basically impossible to tell now. You can tell if it's programmed.
You can, if it's anyone other than Misha Mansour programming the drums or Nolly Get Good, because I watch a lot of their videos and I really like their drum program. It sounds so real. Like, I don't think you can tell. I really don't.
Or just get a drummer to do it.
Or just get a drummer to. But yeah, but when you sat at home and I ain't got no drummer, like, I'm not saying my drums sound real. Like, I'm getting better at it. It's always something I'm trying to do with drums. But I think in that sense, I really love MIDI. but not for live on a live kit.
Can you imagine? Have you ever seen a band live playing with an electric kit?
Yes, actually, I have.
A lot of some of those
was,
like Pendulum and that, you do it quite a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I have seen it.
It's not a famous band, but we're at a gig somewhere. I was with you.
Oh yes, we were at the
Where
pub in
was that?
Swindon. I
I
think
was
that
like,
was
is that
just
an
at,
electric kit?
Queen's Tap, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Opposite train station.
And they were playing. It
It
sounded.
was Martin's band, who's been on before.
It sounded okay, but I don't know. It wasn't.
It just didn't look. I was just
feels-
like, that looks
it looks
shit.
It does look. It does
It
look.
just
It
looks
does look
wrong.
weird. Yeah, it
It's like
depends
someone
on the
Playing
stage
Guitar
setup.
Hero
Though.
or something.
Yeah.
It
imagine?
does depend on the stage setup and what electric kit you've got, because some of them have got like big, proper like looking drums, and some don't.
I think you're right, though. I agree with you on that. If the samples are like really well recorded and you're using like the periphery drum samples or something, like Get Good stuff, all modern and massive, then yeah, you can get really good results.
I've got a question for you guys.
Yes.
So if you were to maybe start a band or your own project, what would you have? You got any like sort of name in mind that you would call the project? Like you must have sort of thought about this.
The Schwendel Jenner experience.
I don't like that.
I just made that up on the spot.
I can't even go into this because
Schwendy.
every single band I've been in, it's like getting the band name is a whole thing that lasts weeks, and everyone uses their band name generators, which come up with like absolute crap.
But is
Post
there,
Malone.
Oh
That's
my
how
God.
Post
Is there
Malone
any-
got his
yeah.
name. Was a name generator.
is there any you've gotten written down somewhere that you're like, that's a banging name?
I've
Bloody-
got like a library of them somewhere, like literally, where I've done that exercise so many times, and I picked out like the best ones. Couldn't tie off
I always like it when bands have just random names, like
Yeah.
Dance Gavin Dance. And
Yeah.
things like that. Like if I had a band, I'd probably call
Where
it.
have I heard that band before? Is that one
Dance
you
Gavin
showed?
Dance.
yeah,
They're quite
Meg
popular.
loves them.
Yeah.
I've seen them actually in Bristol not that long ago.
Yeah, I think you
It's
put
really
on
good.
some of their live stuff, like, and the singer like Mental.
Yeah,
that
well,
the band?
they've had a couple of different singers, so but
okay.
yeah, they are pretty. It's kind of like proggy, but it's all like loud, if that makes sense.
They were really talented too.
But they are good. The guitar, especially, is like pretty intricate.
But like, yeah, when bands have like random names like that, it's actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some now.
Even though the name's like random, it's actually memorable because of how random it is.
Yeah, like what's that? Oh, fuck, what are they called? No, Captain Chunk.
Yeah, Chunk No Captain Chunk.
Chunk, no Captain
You
Chunk.
remember it because of how weird it is.
Yeah, and because it reminds me of Goonies. Like, no,
Yeah.
Captain Chunk. I actually kind of like that band. They're pretty decent. Or Bare Naked Ladies. That's like another one that's kind of like a weird name.
You'd want to call your band after like your mate's name or something, just to annoy him. Like Kyle Spackman or something.
Kyle Spackman
Kyle
Experience.
Spackman Experience.
That's amazing. Oh God, were there any other ones that are like weird? I was speaking to Martin the other day when he was last on, and I was on about his band, The Lanes, the covers band one, and then I asked him about his originals band, and I was like, "What's this one called?" He's like, The Lanes. I was like, "So you called both your bands The Lanes?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Right." Fair play.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I don't know what I'd call my imaginary band.
But then if you book them, what are you getting? What, are you going to get a cover band or an original band? Like,
Well, he does both, so it's whatever the venue
it's
wants.
50-50.
Yeah.
It's a gamble.
It's whatever the venue wants, basically. If there's an originals booking, he'll take it. If there's a covers booking, he'll take it.
Take like movie names and turn that into a band name, like Misery,
Yeah.
There's got to be a band called Misery, though, right?
probably, or Event Horizon. I tried to call a band Event Horizon in uni, and the lecturer was like, "You can't have a band with the word event in it." I was
Well,
like,
we used to have a
"Why?"
band. I used to be in a band
Why
called
not?
From Dusk Until Dawn.
Oh yeah, I
That's a
remember
cool
that.
name.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
But
Yeah.
it's one of those things.
That was the movie, the Tarantino movie.
Exactly. So
Yeah, that's a good band.
Call a
name.
band
I think
Pulp Fiction.
when you get to a certain level, no one's going to know.
A death metal band called Toy Story.
Really? It's actually?
No, I'm just saying that like you could do. There
could.
probably is. There's probably like yeah.
Yeah, it's not very good for
The
SEO.
Fast and
is it?
Furious, like a power metal band, like Dragon Force.
It's got to be unique, but yeah, I don't know. Party Cannon. Have you seen that band?
Party
Party Cannon.
Party
Haven't, no.
Cannon.
Look up their logo. It's ridiculous.
Oh, the phones are...
Like it's a
bit-
really
what
it's a
will
proper
do?
heavy death metal band. But
Yeah.
their logo looks like the Toy Story logo. It's like it's
Really?
all colourful. It's like a children's birthday party. And when they're playing like festivals where it's all just death metal bands, the poster's all black and white, but their logo's in the middle. It's all coloured. It stands out. It's like party cannon.
It's like the juxtaposition of like real bright colours and like kind of jokey.
That's really cool. I like that
like
though, because
death
all death
metal
metal bands have
tunes.
got all like the black and like moody photos and all
It's
that.
almost
like.
a bit cringe. You know?
Can you imagine that the other way around? Like if it was like you had like a real gothic kind of like person.
It's like a pop band. Or
And
something.
they're, yeah, and they like did a pop band.
Have you heard of the Scene Queen or whatever her name?
No.
That's what she does. Like
Really?
her name. I think her name's Scene Queen. But she's like all like rah, 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 rah. But then in the choruses she's like happy, happy, happy. happy. It's like baby metal, you know, that kind of
I was
thing.
just about to say it sounds like baby
Yeah.
metal.
Yeah, that's cool.
Baby metal. Ghost is probably a good example of how their look doesn't sound like how their music sounds.
Yeah, true.
You always describe Ghost to me as is this
Even
the,
from a distance, you
Yeah.
can see it
So you
like
can see
straight
that
away.
Party cannon.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just caught,
You
mate,
can
it looks
you
like
see it from a distance.
Mr. Blobby.
Yeah.
Like wow.
That's the
I'll
logo.
flash that image on screen for everyone to see in the edit.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
But
Toys R Us.
yeah, that's yeah. But yeah, you always describe Ghost to me as like ABBA, but
It's ABBA metal.
ABBA metal, and I can never get that out of my mind when I listen to them now. They're one of my favourite bands at the moment, actually, Ghost, since you showed me.
They're
one.
bringing out a movie.
I listen to them a lot. Really?
Yeah.
About what?
I don't know, but I think it's like a whole. It's not going to be like, you know, when Metallica did that movie where it's like half.
I
live,
went to the cinema
did
to
you?
see that. I was so stoked. It sucked ass.
Yeah, I never watched
was
it. I just
awful.
heard it was terrible.
had
But like
that-
half, it was basically a promo for Metallica.
Yeah, I had that terrible actor who's in the Amazing
Green Goblin.
Spider-Man 2. Yeah, Dane DeHaan, I think his name is. God, I forgot. What was that? Now or never or something?
Through the
The,
Never. Is it
the
Through
Metallica movie? I can't remember. It sucked so bad. I thought it was going to be the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. It was cool to see the songs like live on a
Yeah.
but yeah, largely it
Taylor
sucked.
Swift did like a live cinema experience, didn't she, about a year or so ago, where you could like go to the cinema and watch basically one of her live
Really?
shows. Yeah,
Didn't know that.
like it was live. Like live
That's a
streamed.
cool idea. They should do stuff like that.
It looked really cool.
They
Like,
do it with documentaries.
like the people were up in their seats, you know, like jumping around. Like, do you know what I mean? It's good experience for them.
Well, why don't they do that? Can you imagine that? You could like, if like, I don't know, they stream Download Festival at the cinema. That'd be sick.
See, I thought when VR was first coming into like
Oh,
as
yeah,
a thing,
why haven't
I
they
thought
done-
I was like, if bands jump on this and just start selling VR tickets to their
But
shows,
half the price, not even that
I've
expensive.
thought about that before. Yeah, like have a streaming ticket and you just sell it
then-
like cheaper.
That's a really good talking
but then
point.
the price of admission is technically the price of the VR. You know, so it's like maybe it's not that accessible as you think.
Well, no, I imagine they charge it like a pay-per-view event, like boxing or something. Like
Yeah.
you've got the TV, like you've got the cable. You just have to pay whatever it is. What do they charge for a fight? A tenner?
Yeah, I think that makes sense to do for concerts. to
I
be
would do
honest.
that. Like
Yeah.
if I had, if everyone had a VR headset and like,
Imagine the stage has got 5 or 6 cameras which you can switch between at any moment
Oh, mate.
and watch in VR. Like you can, there's a camera behind the
get in
drummer.
the drone cam and be
Now
sick.
that's like
Drink
an extra
beer.
experience beyond being at the gig, because the problem with big gigs you can barely see anyone
Yeah.
on the stage
Can you
or
imagine-
like what's that really going
Mate,
on.
there's got to be something to this.
Yeah.
Maybe we should
V-
cut this
VR
out and someone steals this idea.
VR live
but
shows of bands from 6 different camera angles.
You'd be sat on your like Black Mirror.
So let's say you're obsessed with a drummer, and Chad Smith or something. You really want to
Yeah.
see what he does in a particular song of a set.
Oh, you're
all-
on
you
that
can see
point
all
of
it.
view.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like camera behind them or something.
You can have multiple, so you can switch between the cameras. Like that would be so
You
good.
can just examine what they
New
play.
business idea for you, Dan. That's a really sick idea.
Well, to be honest, that's
They did,
what
like,
I want to do with a
POV
small venue, because you
cameras.
could like stream a small venue and have cameras all around. That's what I was going to do if I took over levels.
That's
So,
really cool. So
should-
people who can't come, they just sit at home. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
what happens if that would the negative effect where people are just like, just sit at home and watch it?
Well, it wouldn't be a
That's a
negative,
risk.
because you can get bigger acts in a smaller venue, and more people can still watch it. you see what I mean? So say if you've got like
Shikari.
but in like a 400 capacity venue, but like only 400 people get tickets and you sell them at a really high price. But then people that want to pay less just pay less and watch it at home.
You'd
and
have to give the people at home a direct feed into the soundboard. I wonder how that would work.
Definitely complexities in terms of logistics with the video and the sound and everything, but
they did that.
It would work.
Enter Shikari did a live performance during lockdown. They like all played from home and it all synced up like perfectly. It sounded great.
I always wondered how that works. Like, how is everyone's playing?
There's actual like software that came around lockdown. Loads of software came out just for that purpose.
Really?
Like tons of it, yeah.
Yeah. I watched a lot of Matt Heafy. Like he does like his own.
Yeah, Trivium did it live.
Trivium. I think Trivium did one as well.
Lockdown show, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Mate, technology's mad. It is turning into like Black Mirror kind of thing.
Did you guys want to speak about like what's happening with Levels at the moment?
We'll save that because we're doing a podcast with them.
We're allowed to.
Okay.
We're doing a podcast with them, so we'll let the new owners kind of talk about it. Like it's the next episode after this one.
Yeah. So
when are they opening up?
However, that one might probably come out before.
We can't say when they're opening.
I'm just thinking when you're
say
opening
when they're
because
opening.
I've heard a band called Men Invest are playing.
Yeah. Oh God, every mention.
It's the Rolleston. So the Rolleston's
episode.
opening on the 7th of June, and we're doing the opening show with another band from Oxford.
That's a Friday. Why aren't they opening Levels? Oh well, I want to find out.
That'll probably be after. I can see they booked loads of different events throughout the year. So
Yeah. Deprivation Festival's back on now, which is cool.
And obviously because they're the main guys drum and bass promoter, they're doing loads of drum and bass events. I've seen like proper.
That's cool as well.
9 till
that
6
was an idea
AM
me and you you had and wanted to do.
So it's all coming back for sure. But yeah, the next episode, be sure to tune in for that.
Yeah.
We're going to be going to the venue and
that will probably be out before this one with Jordan because we need to get it out before they open.
Okay, yeah. In that case,
there's no point releasing that episode because they open next Friday.
In that case, we'll put a link to that in the video description for you to check out. From
so by the time you hear this episode, you already know. But
it's all good. Yeah, we'll link to that anyway.
Cool. Where can people find you, Jordan, on Instagram?
Where can people find me?
Yeah. Not your address, but
I don't want people to find me.
Like your band and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
So
your Instagram.
you can find my band Mondegreen on Instagram and Spotify and all
links
streaming.
below.
Yeah, links will be in the description. The other band, Borrowed and Blue, which is a covers band, we're usually playing around Swindon, various venues, and you can find me on Instagram. I guess that's probably the best place if you do want to follow me. I don't know why you would, but
well, why not? You put covers on there and stuff, don't you?
I barely. I'm really bad at
I want to get better with
stuff,
doing.
I mean, social media makes me miserable. So.
Yeah, this is why I struggle with this whole podcast deal. I enjoy the actual talking and sitting down. It's just all the
admin.
It's all the admin stuff that I've now got to go home and sort out. I'm so tired. But I got work tomorrow.
All good. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening.
Yeah, man. We'll check.
Thanks for coming on, Jordan.
That's okay.
We'll check you in the next episode. Thank you, Jordan, for coming on.
Yeah,
I'm dead.
See you next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye.